The key takeaways. So we're talking all about design thinking, which is a human-centered design process. Now what that really means is that we are looking to understand what people really care about, not just the stuff that they're asking for, so we can identify what really means something to them, and then get some insights into how we might create things that they aren't able to ask us for yet, but they would really, really value. Yeah, so with design thinking, we're using a lot of qualitative research methods. So it's not about sort of large N populations and trying to find statistically significant correlations, all that kind of stuff, not big data. That stuff certainly has its purpose, but with design thinking, it's about stories, it's about people, it's about trying to get underneath the surface into what they really care about, those kind of unexpressed needs we were talking about before. And once you've got that insight, then the thing to do really is allow yourself to go with it. And this is where we see a lot of organizations, whether law firms or corporates, we've got a kind of preset solution space to find, and that often is a limitation to our thinking. If you ask people what they want, they're going to say, we want lower fees, we want better service, we want more of this, for less. What design thinking is all about is gaining empathy and trying to find some inspiration for what people are going to need next. And that's what gives a firm or any organization that competitive advantage. So, as mentioned, I run a company called Treehouse Innovation. So, we've been around since 2010. We're based in London. As you might be able to tell, I'm not originally from London. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, but have been here for about 12 years. And my whole career I've spent doing innovation, started in the late 90s in the States, and now with Treehouse, we spend our time doing a few different things. First, we run design projects, so we'll work with all kinds of different organizations to help them design new things, new strategies, new processes, new products, services, all kinds of things using this design thinking approach. We also help people build that internal capability, so training programs, workshops, things like that. And then, as Helen mentioned, also work with a lot of leadership teams, so really focusing on that culture element, so how do we make innovation something that, even if it's not our day-to-day, maybe some things that we're not quite used to, how do we as leaders make this a safe thing for our people to go out and do, to try things, to take some responsible risks, and hopefully move us forward. So now let's kind of think about in law. Now, most of our legal services clients, when we talk about innovation, comes in a few different forms, right? For the first thing people think about is, technological solutions, right? So, what's happening with AI, or how can we do what we're doing better, faster? How can we be more productive and do new things for our clients? We think about new business models, we think about new pricing models, new delivery models. So all those types of innovation are happening within the sector. And as far as why it really matters, would love to sit down and have a kind of one-on-one Q&A and hear what you guys are hearing from the field from your clients. But what we're hearing when we talk with our legal services clients, we're hearing a few things. One, that there's a lot of change happening. New regulation, there's consolidation happening in certain sectors, and this sort of general sense of it's important to think about this now, because it's better to be a disruptor ultimately than it is to become one of the disrupted, right? It's better to get ahead of that change as opposed to have to follow once the course has already been set. We also hear a lot that clients are asking for it more than they ever have in the past. So sitting down with an in-house counsel, a GC is going to say, give me some fresh ideas. We've got this external firm, come on, bring us something new, bring us something fresh. And that demand has been coming on much more vocally, much more strongly in recent years. Another thing we're hearing is that it's just really important to be able to have that conversation with clients. They're talking about design thinking, they're talking about lean and agile and all this stuff. That's really relevant to in your client's world. It's good to be able to have that conversation with them, because they're in-house counsels who, growing more strategic every year. They're able to have that conversation often more effectively than some of their external providers. So those are some of the elements that are saying, we're hearing why this matters, why it's important. And one of the things that we've heard from some of our other legal services clients when they react to this kind of thing. They say, well, doesn't that leave the firm a little bit vulnerable? Isn't that us saying that we don't have the answer? And isn't that fundamentally our job as lawyers, to have the right answer for our clients when they come to us with a challenge? Now, as we go through this next hour we have together, I'd like for everyone just to kind of keep in the back of mind what the impact would be if some of the methods and tools that I'm about to show you related to design thinking, if you were to invite your clients in to start trying some of this stuff out together, or even just as a first step, bringing some of your teams in to start trying some of this stuff out, what the impact could be. And failure is not a word that goes down too well in any industry, and especially not legal services. I mean, if there's ever been an industry that it is designed to take the risk of failure out of any situation, it's law. It's much more about storytelling. It's much more about having conversations with people. And it's really about, as we said, knowing what to look for, but also knowing how to bring out some of those things that could be the basis for really valuable insights, things that could help us learn more about what someone cares about, values, or needs, that they aren't expressing to us yet. So, what do we do once we've got lots of stuff? So we talk about field research as a process of sort of collecting the dots, lots of little data points, lots of little findings, lots of observations. We now need to turn that into something meaningful, and that's where we start forming insights. So a good insight kind of explains what's going on. Why, it's our theory about why this is happening. What's going on beneath the surface. It gets to the deeper motives, right? It can be a bit of an intuitive leap. It can be just a hunch. We don't have to prove it. This is where we're starting to use our gut and our instincts a little bit to make sense of everything we've seen. So as you come out of today's session, what I'd really like you to take with you is there are these processes, there's techniques, all this good stuff, but at the heart of doing this, it is really all about habits and mindset, starting with empathy, showing as opposed to telling, radical collaboration, so getting people from other practices involved, getting your clients involved, experimentation, being mindful of a process, so knowing where you are within it, and then really this bias towards action, just going off, trying things, and doing things quickly. So guys, that's it for me today. Thank you very much for your attention.